Hello, we're back and we're going to read the last few chapters of Bob. So quick recap.
So Danny went missing and there's a painting and Bob was trying to find Danny and he found a painting in his room.
Yeah, painting in Danny's room.
And paintings of a brick well with a small creek, and there's green fingers like a small details, green fingers wrapping around the well, and it's at the bottom it says, "Please help us."
So now we're trying to find out what's going on in the rescue for Danny.
Some of it's still wet.
Oh yeah,
so
it's a fresh painting.
It's sort of like right before Danny went missing.
Okay, we're all dying to figure out what happens. So we're going to start. Chapter 17, Libby. Gran and I have a rule for the bush, which is what Australians call the woods. We have to be close enough to see each other.
Oh, Bob first. That would be more interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob.
We just finished the chapter of Bob. No more. We're walking along a dirt path that she tells me used to be a creek bed. She tells me to watch where I put my feet. She doesn't say so, but I'm pretty sure it's because of snakes. I have a whistle in my jeans pocket, just in case we get separated, and also to blow once in a while in case Danny can hear it. I also have a system Gran doesn't know anything about. My black pawn is in the same pocket as my whistle, so every time I blow the whistle, I feel the pawn and think, Bob. I can't stand the thought of forgetting him again. Do you think Danny's okay? I ask Gran. She nods. Danny's an explorer. He knows the bush around here. It's been his nature to wander ever since he could walk upright. The problem is that he isn't so great about keeping track of time. Blow that whistle again, will you? I blow my whistle as hard as I can. We listen in case Danny is calling back to us. Nothing. Was my mom like that too when she was little? A wanderer? Gran shook her head. She wasn't much of a bush wanderer, more of a traveler, if you know what I mean. Good head on her shoulders from the beginning. A pleasure to spend time with. I just wish I got to spend more of mine with her and with you. Gran is alone too. I don't know why I never thought of it before. I think of the last 5 years and Gran and Bob living in the same house all that time. I can't decide if it's nice or just really sad. Why don't you move to America? You could live at our house. I'm sure Mom and Dad wouldn't mind. Gran nods. They've offered. Problem is, I love it here. She raises her arms and kind of waves at the trees. I love the place and I love the people. So maybe it's not sad that Gran lives alone. Maybe it's a choice. But what if it never rains again here? I ask her. She makes a quick face, like a face she might make if I were blowing that whistle right in her ear. Then she says, I guess I'll have to take that question one day at a time. I'm not sure what to say to that, because what if it really never rains here again? Gran catches my hand and we swing our arms back and forth together. It feels good. Then she says, so you're feeling okay about staying over tonight? Mom has obviously told her about my sleepover problems. Yeah, I think so. I wait. No stomachache. Small, twingy feeling, but no stomachache. She squeezes my hand. Good. You know what your mom used to do when she couldn't sleep? She put a book under her pillow. She never told me that. Gran smiles. She said it helped her dream. I picture that. Mom, my age, in the 4-poster bed, dreaming. It feels good. Blow that whistle again, Gran says. I blow. We listen. No Danny. Then Gran says, you were quite a wanderer yourself when you were here last. Me? Yes, you, she says. You know, it was just you and me for a few days the last time you came, right? Your mom was away seeing friends, just like she is now. Well, one morning I come downstairs at 6 a.m. and there you are sitting at the breakfast table in your pajamas, big innocent smile on your face. You had even set the table. Knife fork, and cup for you, knife, fork, and cup for me. Only problem was that your pajamas looked like you'd been out in the bush all night in the rain, leaves and dirt and anything else you can think of that you might find on the ground. Everywhere. Your pockets were full of it, and you were wet. I have a pretty good idea which morning this was. Gran, how do you think I got wet? She shakes her head. Livy, to this day, I have no earthly idea how you got wet. And believe me when I say I've put serious thought into it. I thought maybe the pig trough, but nope, that gate was latched way up high. I checked. The whole episode scared the heck out of me, actually. After that, I started waking myself up at 4 a.m. to watch the doors. Wow, I say, that's weird. It probably wouldn't be a big comfort. It probably wouldn't be a big comfort to her to note that I am 99% sure I fell into her well. Gran says, blow that whistle again, Livy. I blow. We listen. No, Danny. Gran, do you remember a book with a mermaid on the cover and some other stuff? We're walking uphill now and she's breathing hard. Your big book, you mean? What do you mean, my big book? That's what you called it, your big book. I think it was called The Big Book of Fairy Tales, something like that. It was your mother's when she was a girl. I used to read it to her, but you never let me read it to you. She smiles. Why not? You said you like to make your own stories. You couldn't read a word, but you looked at that book a lot. I guess you liked the pictures. What kind of pictures? Well, mermaids, like you said. She's still a little bit out of breath. Anything else? Oh, sure. Elves, maybe. Fairies. I'm sorry, sweetie. I haven't seen that one in a while. Gran's distracted, looking at her ripped paper tablecloth map. We should turn left soon. There's a big rock about a quarter mile ahead. We'll turn right after that. We walk on. The hill gets steeper. I can scan the woods. No Danny. I climb up on a fallen tree trunk and turn around in a circle, looking. I blow my whistle, 2 toots. I hear a few answer whistles from the other searchers, 2 toots, but no Danny. I'm about to climb down when I see a flash of orange, a very familiar shade of orange. Bob. I glanced around. Where did he go? I squeeze my pawn. Scan, turn, scan. Then I see it. One skinny green arm waving at me semi-desperately. He's right beside the path a little way ahead of us, but Gran is slowing down. Gran, let's keep going. Actually, my dear, I think I need to sit down for a few minutes. The end of chapter 17.
No, keep reading.
Chapter 18, Bob. Oh my. Did anyone else just see a chicken shimmy down the drain pipe? One of the big-hatted boys had shouted. It had something rolled up under its wing. Maybe it's a wombat, his friend or brother had suggested. This was no wombat. The woman with them swatted them on the heads and said not to tell tales. It was epic. I wait for Livy to join me behind the tree. Wait till you hear what I've learned, I say when she finally arrives, huffing and puffing. She puts up a give me a minute finger, and then she takes out a whistle and blows hard into it, twice. I put my hands over my ears. Ouch! Finally tuned sense of sound. Remember? Oh yeah, because his ears are sensitive. Finely tuned. Sorry, I have to blow it every 2 minutes. We hear 2 more whistle blows, close by but less painful. Livy smiles. That's Gran. She's resting. She twists around, likely making sure we're alone before asking, what are you doing here, Bob? After you left me without saying anything, even though you know I'm sensitive about that. I pause as she reaches out to pat me on the head, a gesture I choose to interpret as an apology. Then I continue. I decided to make myself useful. I take a deep breath and try to untangle all of my thoughts before continuing. I remembered that Sarah had taken the book from your mom's shelf, and I went back to get it. And look, I hold up the picture I took off the wall. The painting is a little smudged by my nose pressing against it, but only a little. Look at that hand. She grabs it. Where did you get this? From over Danny's bed. He must have made it after reading the story. She leans in so close, her nose comes away with a spot of blue too. And what do you think well dwellers means? I still haven't gotten up to the W's in my dictionary yet. When she looks at me, her eyes are shining. Bob, I don't think it's in the dictionary, but this is it. The final clue we were looking for. You came out of Gran's well. You did. Rufus fell in it, and I fell in, and you were there to save us. I frown. But I don't feel like I came from a well, and visiting it yesterday didn't bring back any memories. I know, but maybe that's part of how your magic protects you or something. Protects me by making me forget where I came from? What kind of second-rate magic is that? Well, it's not the best, Livy agrees. I bet the book would tell us more. Yes, let's go ask Danny where it is. She frowns. No one is sure where Danny is right now. I should have told you that right away. That's why Gran took me. There's a big search on for him. That would explain all the commotion and the policemen. What are we waiting for then? Let's go find him. I know, I'm trying. She turns back to the painting. Maybe we could use this painting as a map. He could be at this very well right now. Look.
Maybe hiding in the well.
Or maybe hiding in the well, I don't know. Look, there's a weird tree near it, like this. And she holds out her arms and makes them all crooked and tilts her head. And there's a creek bed leading up to it too, just like the one we're standing on. Oh, here's a picture of them. Yeah, see it too.
Don't show it.
Why not? You can
Because
see it.
we haven't read the part, and now we know when they get to it.
Well, they're looking for it. I look down. The dirt-filled creek is only about an inch or two lower than the ground on either side of it. We'd been using it like a path. Through the trees. Livy, if neither of us pass the tree on our way here, it has to still be up ahead. Yeah, because you remember Gran was talking about the creek that went through it. We take off running along the path, heading deeper and deeper into the bush. Livy continues blowing that awful whistle every 2 minutes. I'm reading. Livy continues blowing that awful whistle every 2 minutes, making me jump, even though I know it's coming. Gran's responses are getting fainter as we get farther away. We'll have to find the well soon, or else go back before Gran gets too worried and people start searching for us. We step over broken twigs and bits of bark, and I'm glad my feet are thick. Sea pods keep cracking and making us jump, thinking it's the sound of a fire starting. Finally, we stumble into a small clearing, and Livy grabs my arm and points. It's the weird tree. She's right, and behind the tree, almost completely hidden by its long, oddly shaped branches and surprisingly green leaves, is a large brick well. My heart thumps with anticipation. The first thing that I notice as we approach is the complete lack of a green hand gripping the edge of the well, or signs of any hands at all, green or Danny-sized. My shoulders sag. Were we wrong about everything? Was the drawing just a picture Danny made when he was bored? She shuffles one way around the well, and I go to the other. At the same time, we shout, Danny! Because here he is, leaning against the back of the well, the missing book open on his lap. He sees us and points to a cardboard box on the ground beside him. No one came to take it. All right.
Now they know where Danny is.
Should we keep going?
Yes.
Last 2 chapters.
Woo.
Chapter 19, Livy. When Danny stands up, I grab his hand like he might run somewhere. Are you okay? A lot of people are looking for you. The well seems to smother my words. It feels different from Gran's well. Like this might be the deepest, quietest place in the world. I step up to the well wall and peer into the murky darkness. Again, Danny pulls his hand away. I know my way home. Then I notice Bob, who seems torn between the box on the ground and the book in Danny's hand. The book is in his hand. He's holding the book with Bob on the cover. I think there might be a cupcake inside that box, Bob whispers to me. But I'm a lot more interested in the book. Can I see the story? I ask Danny. He knows the one I mean. He hands over the book. It's not true anyway, Danny says as I read down the table of contents. There are only 2 wells around here, the one in your Gran's yard and this abandoned one. I've waited and waited at both of them, and they never come. It's all a lie. The story titled The Well Dwellers is only 2 pages long, so I hold the book open and Bob jumps in front of me. I skim. Well dwellers possess a secret and powerful magic. They can make things grow. They live all over the world in secret. Bob, I say, move your head, I can't see. Danny's staring. Your chicken is named Bob? Oops. Bob isn't even trying to act like a chicken. He sticks out one long green finger and points. Then he starts to screech. Or I thought he was screeching at first. After a while, I figure out that he's actually talking. He's saying, me, me, and he's touching the picture on the page. It's definitely a picture of Bob. Same green hand, same green arms, same green body, same crooked smile, standing right next to a well. It's not this exact well, but it's not that different either. Bob, I shout, that's you. Maybe this well is a passageway. Maybe it leads to your home. Danny's mouth is hanging open. He says, a chicken in a well? Bob breaks into a smile and starts jumping up and down. He turns and actually tries to hug the well. Oh, Livy, do you think so? Do you really? He stops. He freezes. I freeze. Danny freezes, because there is a kind of rumbling coming from inside the well. What's that noise? Danny whispers. Before I know it, he's standing behind me, peeking out from under my arm at the well. It's talking, Danny says into my side. It's all right, I tell him. I don't want Danny to get scared, but it doesn't feel completely all right. The well is talking. Not in a voice. It's talking with the ground. It's talking with the rocks. It's talking with the trees. It's talking with the birds and the bugs.
Earthquake!
It isn't using any words, but with the rocks and the ground and the trees and the birds and the bugs, the well is asking a question. And then everything starts to move. Still holding the book, I squish Danny against me with one arm and grab Bob's hand on the other side. It feels soft and dry and strong. He's squeezing my hand pretty hard. We're all looking at the well, more vibrating earth, more shouting trees and birds and bugs. I'm scared. Is the whole town shaking? And right then I have the weirdest thought. Where is my baby sister? Is she safe? I remember she's far away with Mom, safe somewhere. The well wall begins to shake, and Danny's arms go around my waist, and then Bob lets my hand go and takes a step toward the well. Bob, I yell, reaching for him. What are you doing? You've got to hold on to something. Bob staggers toward the well, first one foot, then the other. He holds his arms up in the air. It's like when the baby wants up. Something starts coming out of the well. An arm, green like Bob's, but bigger. And then another. Livy, Bob shouts. Livy, it's my... Then something is in front of us, blotting out the afternoon light. Someone whose green skin looks wet. Someone whose eyes are just barely open, like it has been sleeping for a long time, or crying. The ground stops shaking, which is better. Then the someone puts both arms out and Bob leaps into him. It's my mom, Bob shouts at me from her arms. My mom, Livy. Oh,
How does he know?
you always know who your mom is.
Really?
Who are you? Who is she?
Okay, she cuddles Bob up to her face, and he puts his arms around her neck. Danny lets go of me. Oh, no, you don't. I catch his hand, and he pulls, reaching for the little box on the ground. Then, with his free hand, he holds the box up to Bob and his mom. Oh, thank you, Bob says, plucking the cupcake from the box. Pink. It's for her, Danny says. It's a present. She has to take it so that it can rain again. But Bob is already eating the cupcake. I made it for her so that we can keep the farm, Danny says, starting to cry. He turns to me and his face is crumpled, like in the story. I haven't had a chance to actually read the story, but I already know that Bob's mom doesn't care about cupcakes. Bob's mom cares about Bob. She puts Bob down very carefully and comes over to me, peering down into my face. Bob stays put, still eating the cupcake. Yeah, down. She must be very big. She's like a very tall version of Bob, but wet and earth-smelling. Hello, I tell her, pretending my legs aren't shaking. I'm very happy to meet you. She looks like she's waiting for something. Maybe she does want a cupcake. I mean, Bob sure loves them. I'm sorry, I say, I don't have any cupcakes. She bends toward me, waiting. I don't know what you... Then I have an idea. I begin to pull everything out of my pockets. All I have is this, and I hold my hands out, palms up, showing her one plastic whistle, one ripped granola bar wrapper, one 5-year-old piece of licorice, one black palm. I look over at Bob, who's still smacking away. How can he eat at a time like this? Livy, he says between bites, I am remembering so many things. This is my mother, and this is my well. We have many wells, and they're everywhere. Then he pauses, cupcake gripped tightly, pink icing all over his nose, and says, Livy, we are important. Bob, I say, could you maybe tell your mom that I don't have any cupcakes? Because she's staring at me like I have something she wants. She doesn't want a cupcake, Bob says, smiling. She is saying thank you. Livy, she is thanking you for keeping me safe and for bringing me home. Then he makes a sound. It's a sound I have never heard from Bob before. Not so different from a magpie's warble. Magpie's warble. Still looking at me, she makes the same sound. He makes the sound again. Then he looks sad. My mom has been waiting for me for a long time, Livy. She says she has missed me even more than I missed her. I have had you, Livy, and Grand Nicholas, and my dictionary, and my Lego pirates, but she missed me very much. My hands are still out in front of me with all the things from my pockets because I'm afraid to move. I don't want to be afraid of Bob's mom, but I am. Give her the licorice, Danny whispers from behind me. Bob's mom opens her eyes wide, and I see that they are brown, just like Bob's. They're all kinds of brown, like a tree trunk. I stretch out my open hand so that she can take the licorice. Finally, she reaches out with 2 long fingers, but she doesn't take the licorice. She takes my black pawn. Her fingers wrap around it, and I can't see it anymore. Bob's mom makes a light sound, like wind in the trees, almost a kind of sigh, and then she turns away. She grabs Bob so that he's resting in the crook of one arm. She steps up to the well wall. Wait, she's not taking him home right now, is she? They're just going away? Is Bob about to disappear? I've been so worried about finding Bob's family that I never, for even 1 second, thought about what it would feel like when he left. It feels horrible. Wait, I yell at Bob's Bob's mom's back. Wait a minute, we didn't get to, and she hops into the well. Goodbye, Livy, Bob calls, his words echoing up to us. Goodbye, my friend. Thank you. I love you, Livy. They're gone. I want to tell Bob that I love him too. Everything gets very quiet. And then there's a great big boom.
Thunder?
Thunder. Danny
Yes!
is jumping up and down, shouting, Thunder! Finally! He stops and looks at me. Everything's going to be okay now. Fat, warm raindrops begin falling all around us. We did it, Danny shouts. The rain is falling heavy and fast.
That's why he did the green finger, because he knew about the mom. The mom.
Well, maybe he didn't know about the mom. Maybe he just knew that,
She's a wildlife.
yeah. It feels like the air is mostly water. And then somehow it rains even harder. I stand there and let it soak me. Danny laughs. You're really wet. And then he looks serious and says, but I'm sorry about your chicken. My Bob, I feel tears start and I let them come. The rain will hide them. We've got to get you home, I tell Danny. Danny and I have been walking back along the creek bed for less than a minute when two long whistles pierce the sound of the downpour. Gran, I blow my whistle back to let her know that I'm okay. Danny and I don't try to talk as we make our way to her through the trees. I pay attention to where I walk, the way Gran taught me. It takes me a while to realize I'm squeezing something in one hand. I uncurl my fingers. One ripped granola bar wrapper. One piece of licorice. One plastic whistle. Wasn't there something else? What was the other thing? What was the other thing? I shout to Danny through the rain, holding out my hand to show him. What? He shouts back. The other thing in my pocket. The thing she took. The thing who took? Who's she? I hesitate. I don't know. The thing I lost? Maybe I think I lost something. The black something. He stops. Should we look for it? Danny is a good kid, but maybe Beth Ann will turn out like him. But the rain is pounding everything. Whatever it was, I know we'll never find it. And anyway, I don't even know what to look for.
Because she can't remember Bob.
I know.
There's a
Last chapter. Chapter 20, last chapter.
Now we're going to see
Bob.
Bob's world.
I'm home. My home is smelly, wet, and dark. It is also cozy and warm and perfect. And now that I'm back, I remember all the parts of my story. My mom is here, and my dad, and my two older sisters, Beth and Ann.
Beth and Ann. That's why she decided to name them Beth Ann.
I know, isn't it so cute?
That's adorable.
And lots of grandparents and cousins. We well dwellers don't live inside the actual wells, more like in between them, in long tunnels and caves with nooks and crannies for playing or resting or thinking. We are tied to the earth and the sky, and even though sometimes people bring us treats, they really don't have to. We would bring the rain anyway. It's what we do. Except when one of us goes missing, this almost never happens because we are never supposed to leave the wells, like ever. What happens when one of us gets too close to the surface of a well because we smell cake and then hear a small plop followed by a big plop? As soon as, oh, that's what he said. Okay. So one, as soon as we climb out and dry off, we forget where we came from, forget how to make rain, and forget how to get home. So like, remember,
Bob couldn't remember.
well, Livy fell with her stuffy, right? So he rescued them and got them out.
But then
He's like, this is what happens. You forget how to get home. Two, our families can't find us and get very, very sad. Our underground tunnels go everywhere, which means that we could pop up anywhere. Well, anywhere there are wells. My mom searched for me in Istanbul and Singapore, in Finland, Tokyo, and all 38 Springfields in America. She couldn't go far from the wells, though, because of the drying / forgetting thing. She would never have found me in Grant's closet. 3. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like if she'd gone out and found him in the closet, they both would be lost because they wouldn't know how to get back. 3. Without rain, the land soon dries out. The crops don't grow, the animals don't have anything to graze on, the reservoirs don't get filled, and farmers like Gran and her neighbors can't pay their bills anymore. Basically, it stinks all around. But once you return to the well, your family is so overjoyed to see you again that they make it pour down rain. In a few days, water will fill the creeks and reservoirs, and rainbows will fill the skies. The grass will get green, and the animals will eat, and farmers will grow crops again, and life will be grand.
So when there's drought, you know it's a well dweller missing.
A well dweller
So
is
you have
missing.
to find it and then put
Always
it
look
in
in
a
your
well.
in your grandma's closet
Okay,
for a well dweller.
all right,
Yes, I'll
let's
do
finish. Life is grand below, too, because I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. Except, and this is a big one, except I've left behind a very smart and brave friend who doesn't remember all the smart and brave things she did because someone's mom, okay, mine, acted all scary and took her pawn away. I don't know how my mom knew that the pawn was the key to Livy remembering me, but she did.
She didn't want you to remember.
No, Mom's not really scary, not with me anyway. After she found me, she told me a story. She said when she'd been looking, after she found me, she told me a story. She said when she had been looking for me at the Tokyo well, she'd overheard a man telling his son about waku waku, another word that won't be in the W's in my Australian English dictionary. She said waku waku is a way of describing the thrill you feel at moving towards something that you're excited about, something that makes you feel the most alive out of anything. She said she knew exactly what the man meant, but didn't have a word for it. Waku waku is what kept her moving toward me until I finally got close enough to a well that she found me. Leaning against Gran's well that time with Danny was like a beacon drawing her closer. Then touching the old well with the wonky tree led her right to me. Being a well dweller and having a friend like Livy are what make me feel most alive. I can feel the rightness of it all the way to my bones. Now I just need to tell her. So I wait until the middle of the night. I draw my family a picture showing them that I will return soon so they won't worry. Then I put my chicken suit on and hoist a bucket full of water onto my shoulder. When I get back, I will teach my family how to read so they can learn about things like buckets, and I can leave notes with real words. I'm a pretty bad artist. I climb out of the well and have to climb right back in because it turns out all wells look the same from below. It takes me 6 tries to find Livy's yard, but I did get to some cool parts of the world. I'll have to make sure to return to the Hawaii place soon. It looked very green. Seems I didn't have to worry about keeping myself wet because the sky over Grant's farm is still pouring down rain. I let the rain soak me through and through, and then pour out the bucket and take it with me anyway. I'm so excited as I near the house that I don't even bother with the chicken one. The smell of freshly baked cake hits me as I slowly push open the back door. It takes supreme willpower to walk by the half-eaten chocolate deliciousness as I pass by it. On the second thought, they probably wouldn't miss a bite or two. I put down the fork after 4. I should probably work on this willpower issue. The lights are out, but I can hear Gran on the phone in her room. She is laughing and saying, "I know, isn't it wonderful? I love the ping, ping, ping on the roof. I could listen to it all night. In fact, I plan to." I put my hand on the wall outside her room and send a silent thank you for housing me all those years. Then I pass her half-open door without a sound and enter Livy's bedroom. My feet pull me toward the closet. and I have to remind myself that it's no longer where I belong. But then I go anyway. I stick the Lego pirate ship and my dictionary and the tutu in the bucket. The dictionary is to share with everyone. The tutu is for my sisters. The pirate ship is for me. It reminds me of what Livy said about how one thing can be lots of other things. All it takes is a little imagination. Now I know that people are like that too. Livy's not just old Livy or new Livy. She's every age she's ever been. And sometimes they get jumbled, but they're all in there. All the Bobs are in me too. All the things I chose to put in my head are what make me, me. I plan to choose wisely. I am much smarter since I've returned to the Wells. I turn toward Livy now, sleeping soundly with Rufus in her arms. It's the only time I've seen her pay any real attention to him on this trip. I try not to laugh at the dab of blue paint still on her nose. She also has a smear of chocolate on her cheek. Who needs a bath now? Then I notice something sticking out from under her pillow. It's the corner of a book. I can read only a little bit of the title. Blank to Z, blank. But I know exactly what it is. It's the book with my story in it. I want to wake her and ask her about it. I want to play chess and solve more mysteries with her. I want to thank her. She protected me, the way a pawn protects the king. Livy got me across the board and all the way home. But I let her sleep. I only lift Rufus carefully from her grasp and place the chip pawn inside the pocket of his tiny overalls. It fits perfectly. Mom had wrapped it up in a cloth and stuck it in a drawer, but I took it out and put a rock in there instead. I learned that from Livy's trick with the pillows in her bed. I hope it'll be many years before Mom realizes my deception. I pat Rufus on the head one last time. It might not work. Maybe Livy will leave him with Gran and won't ever find the palm. But I hope Livy finds it, and I hope she takes it when she goes back to the other side of the world. Keep moving toward what makes you feel most alive, Livy, I whisper. See you in 5 years. I tiptoe back to the door, but then remember something really important and tiptoe back to whisper one last thing. Bring licorice. The end. So thanks for joining us on the book of Bob. We read all 20 chapters. What do you want to say?
I know why the Bob's mom wanted to keep the pawn away from Livy. It's not because it's because she wanted to forget it. Because if she does, then she would come back, and then Bob would want to go with her, and then he would forget how to get home.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.